All right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, August 28th at 9 a.m. We'll start our work session. We'll kick it off with public comment. Anybody in the room have public comment? Anybody online? Okay, Katie,
Morning.
you're hiding behind John.
He's working hard.
Yeah,
Don't have the agenda in front of me. Is it the school
this
based
is a
NHP
school-
or school based?
school-based health center agreement
School based it is.
with Best Care.
So the county receives funds that are allocated to the health department to provide behavioral health services at school-based health center. We then subcontract those services with Best Care. The position has been a difficult one to fill, so for several months out of last year, I think we had a behavioral health provider placed at school-based health center for a couple months last school year. It was pretty limited, so we do in the last fiscal year, we had carryover funds from this grant. It's a recruitment and provider issue that is across the board. I don't, if we subcontracted with someone else to provide those services, I don't know that we'd have any better luck having a provider placed there. But I do think it's something to explore. Currently, Best Care is openly recruiting for this position. And these funds support that the position would be placed at school-based health center. So we're seeking to renew this contract and continue to provide them support in recruitment and retention of providers.
Okay. Any questions? Yep.
I'm not enthusiastic about the provider, but as Katie says, what are we gonna do?
Mosaic Medical provides the clinical services at school base, and they actually have a prescribing nurse practitioner on site a couple days a month, which has been a huge benefit to the school district, and they're hoping to expand the service to be weekly, so I can work on that.
You know what I mean, cause you know, we've been in meetings and stuff, I mean, if that was just, and who knows, maybe we're trading one for the other, I don't know. Yeah. Okay,
We're actively engaged in it.
thank you, Katie, for doing that. Okay,
All right, next.
I believe this is the CMHP.
Yeah, community mental health with Best Care.
Community mental health provider agreement with Best Care. We finalized was it Amendment 5, Eric, most recently with Oregon Health Authority. That is the contract that comes to us from Oregon Health Authority to provide funds for community mental health programming, and then we subcontract to Best Care currently. This is the agreement to renew our subcontract with Best Care for this fiscal year. One slight change is that we've received suicide prevention and postvention funding through Deschutes County historically. So Oregon Health Authority provided Crook, Jefferson, and Deschutes County funding to Deschutes County Health Services. They've now split that out into the individual county contracts. So that is a chunk of funding in addition to problem gambling prevention and alcohol and drug prevention services that come to public health. And they are not provided by Best Care. Those are services that public health provides. Otherwise, this contract, would hold best care providing the services in amendment 5 of our contract with OHA.
All right, now. The intergovernmental agreement.
This one is the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Health Authority to provide public health services in the county. It's basically amendment 10. This one is not finalized. They put it out before the end of the fiscal year, which I thought was odd, but it doesn't include all of our contracted services until they close their books on last fiscal year. We'll get another probably several amendments updating our program. Any funds that have rolled over from last fiscal year, we'll start seeing those. So this one is not reflective of the funding we will receive. It was their best estimate at the end of last fiscal year.
Any questions?
Thank you, Katie, and thank the legal department, because there are always hundreds of pages of IGAs.
Nonsense.
Yeah,
And we love reading every page of it, don't we?
Soak it up.
Okay. Christina? Employee promotion?
Morning, Commissioners. This request is to promote Jamie Berger to a budget manager position from the budget analyst position. She has been doing a absolutely fantastic job of managing the budget process since our transition to an interim county manager. And we'll see that moving forward with our new county manager. She'll take that budget process and work with the county manager as well. She's taken on some additional duties, including that long range forecasting with departments and working with departments to develop key performance indicators. She's also doing additional duty with grant reporting, and we would assume that would continue with this position in the future. This promotion is within our budget already and does not increase FTEs. It would just replace the budget analyst position. I do have a copy of the job description if you'd like to review it as well.
I want to say not only Jamie has done a good job, but so have you, Christina. You both deserve extra kudos and confetti and all of that. I appreciate both of you very much.
I don't really do this. We couldn't do it without everybody, so.
Totally agree. It's just fresh air over there, so.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we're happy to help everybody, so. All right. Anything, any other comments?
That need a signature? So I do have the PA, which I can provide for signature, but I assumed it needed to go next week since next week, because it is a two-step.
We want it in the packet for next week.
I would prefer the PA not to be in the packet, but
What did we do last time? I think we made a motion and then you signed something too.
Yeah, what's the concern about not having the PA in the packet?
so part of it is an internal control concern. The more people that know who works in finance and where they are and what they do is the more opportunity for fraud to happen. But it's in a same kind of concern that Carrie had for her PAs that not necessarily something we want to be public. I have no problem with the position and grade and staff being public, but it's the same concern that Carrie had. So I'm happy to provide it, and we can put it in if you'd like, but.
Yeah, let's talk offline afterwards.
Great. There, Kelly?
Yes. Well, good morning. I have just a number of bullet points to talk about the airport and just kind of give you an overall update, what's been happening in the last number of months and kind of what's going on for the next few months. The first point here was that I wrote in here was a runway reconstruction project and the T hangar project. And I don't want to go into too much depth on that since we've already talked about it. Everybody knows what that project is. That'll be at the end.
Okay, just follow it.
So, if anybody has any questions on those projects, let me know, but I think everybody has a pretty good idea of what's going on with those. Which is the biggest thing that's going on in the airport, but, the next item is something that's come up in the past year, is hangar compliance. We've had some issues with the use of the hangars up there, and some complaints. I want to thank John and Lewis for their help on getting that, I believe buttoned up. The letter went out back to the FAA, this morning, and I think I believe we can close the door on that. We'll see what their response is, but the tenants, we started with inspections last year, so it's been a kind of a year-long process. And I think the tenants responded positively. There was a little pushback here and there. It took some time to get through some of those issues there. I think we're in a pretty good spot with that now. As most of you know, Hood Aero Services, which is FBO, the fixed base operator, was contracted last year about November, who started at the airport. And so what they do, they took over the fuel, most of the ramp, the parking area, a couple of the hangars, actually 3 of the hangars. Some of them were for storage, some of them were for maintenance. So they started out a little bumpy. They've done pretty well this summer. One of the issues with the maintenance hangar is they actually subcontracted to another maintenance provider. They were in for a number of months and then they quit, which caused a little bump in the road. And since then they've hired their own mechanic. And so he started getting things going in the shop. Good guy. I think he'll be there. So that's, they have a little work to do to get the shop up to snuff to take care of things. But I think it's been almost a year. It's taken another year to get on plane and get going on that. So they're doing well. I guess one note with that. So for July, they sold 33,655 gallons of fuel, which is a really good month. I think in the past 10 years with me, they're running. I think we had those numbers in August, but we never had them in July. So for July, that's probably a record for July, but not for August. So under the new program, we get a flowage fee of 10 cents a gallon for every gallon sold. And so just on that, so that's almost $3,400 just in flowage fees. So pretty good month for the airport and a really good month for the FBO. So busy fire season, as everybody knows, been pretty busy up there, and obviously you can see because of the amount of fuel that was sold. One of the big things, and I've mentioned this to a few people, Oregon Department of Forestry runs the seats or the single engine air tankers out of the airport. There's 2 of them contracted typically. So this year they've had during some of the big fires, they've had as many as 6 aircraft up there working out of the airport. The difference this year in the activity is doubled with the tankers is Oregon Department of Forestry has one type of retardant that they use for fires, and then the Forest Service has a different type of retardant. So it depends on what fire they're fighting. If it's on I guess state lands or private property, they'll use the state retardant. If it's on federal land, they'll use the Forest Service retardant. Previously, if it was on a federal fire, they would leave Prineville and then go to Redmond, and they'd fill up out of Redmond their retardant and run all day out of Redmond. So this year, what's different is they're running the federal retardant out of Prineville. So which means those aircraft are coming back to Prineville on every load. So which is doubled the activity out of Prineville. They weren't sure how to accomplish that in the past, because it's more money, and of course it's a government agreement between the two that took them a long time to figure out. But they figured that out, and from my view and from what I've heard from Oregon Department of Forestry, very successful. So I think we'll see that in the future, and hopefully we can make that base grow a little bit. So anyway, good news there. we have a helicopter operation out of, they're fairly big operation out of, Alaska called Pathfinder Aviation. I think they have about 15 helicopters, mostly like almost entirely devoted to, firefighting. They're leasing a hangar at the airport. I think they're gonna have 2 to 3 helicopters that they're going to base out of Prineville. It doesn't really mean for the summer that they would be there. They'd probably be contracted out and go all over the country. But at the end of their contract this season, they'll come back to Prineville, they'll be parked in the hangar, and then they'll be doing maintenance and training and such throughout the winter. So, that's neat to see them, obviously, and obviously they're leasing a hangar and there'll be some fuel and a couple jobs. I think the people who are working the maintenance for those, I think they live in Redmond. They've been working out of the Redmond airport and they've transferred over to Prineville, so.
Which hangar are they gonna?
So, you know, the latest one, the Bronson, the big hangar there, right to the left of that, the one on the end of that center row. So it's a 60 by 7 or 70 by 60, I think, pretty good size hangar. Another item, every 2 to 3 years, Oregon Department of Aviation has a PMP program, pavement maintenance program. And so they support, the airports in Oregon on their pavement maintenance. This year, in July, they were in and out a number of days. So the airport received $159,000 worth of pavement maintenance from the state. So absolutely no charge to us. So that was a lot of crack patching, some repair and some restriping and things. Obviously an awesome program for, that the state has going that really benefits us. And so that was
Do you slurry seal out there the asphalt every so many years?
slurry seal is not typically something that they do. And that goes back to the engineering. For whatever reason, they do some, but it just depends on what they think the erosion or the corrosion of the asphalt is. Typically, most of the work, since there's a lot of asphalt out there, is just crack patching and making sure we don't, especially in this area, making sure that we have cracks filled so we don't get water down there and freezing and freeze and thaw and problems. So. We have 2 new hangar buildings that are in progress. One is almost done and the second one foundation is poured. Probably be putting that, I think, probably before snow flies, that building will be up and they'll be finishing the interior through the winter. And those are 2 fairly large, I think 100 by 80 and an 80 by 80. And those are both housing, basic corporate jets, a Citation and another corporate type jet. So we'll see those on the field this next number of months. Another note on there, both these buildings were built in an area where we did not have utility service. So the airport, I guess, set up the power, water, sewer for those hangars. I had an estimate of around $60,000 to do that. We've come out under budget. I think we're gonna save probably $20,000 to $25,000 on that utility service. So we're doing really well out of the gate with those two hangers. 2 more items, I guess. I've been talking to Jamie about performance indicators. And when we talk about lease space, we've made a lot of changes over the past year, trying to, I guess, expand our lease footprint for these hangars and get ourselves up to market rates. So one of the things I did, I thought that's our major revenue source. So I think I needed to figure out a way to show what we're doing with our lease space. So basically what I did is I got some estimated numbers and I need to look at these again. And basically a start and stop 23 to 24, let's say. Basically, I just took square footage of lease space. Now, when I say lease space, some people are at 15 cents a square foot, some people are at 31. We're all, and some other rates in there. So it's all across the board. But I just kind of wanted to get the square footage the change, the growth, and then where we want to go. So I broke it down into a few different items like airport owned lease space, which would mean like the Forest Service facility, EOC, search and rescue, the FBO. So we've gained 11,600 square feet there, private hangars and private hangars and building land leases. In the past 2 years, we've gained almost 89,000 square feet. Seasonal land leases, there hasn't been a change there, and then just ramp space we've gained on there, but that isn't really leased on a square footage basis. It was kind of just a base rent, but we are creating revenue. With all these items in this growth, so 90 some thousand square feet growth, that equates to $30,000 to $35,000 more revenue for the airport a year, which is huge. And as hangars turn over in sales and building some more, we'll probably be able to gain more in the future. So doing really well there. Occupancy, again, this is a lot of this is estimated. I think we went down about a point. I estimated from what I know, 97% occupancy. I think from our hangar compliance issues and going through some of the inspections, I think that probably went down about 96. And so I'll reevaluate that and give that to Jamie here fairly soon. So anyway, things are doing well, lease space growing and revenue generation. The last thing I wanted to talk about is really not the Prineville Airport, is actually the Redmond Airport. I'm on the Redmond.
I thought that looked pretty nice for the Prineville Airport.
What's at the terminal?
Yeah. I didn't know where you were gonna fit that in.
Yeah, it's only $170 million, I think, so I'm here to ask for. So I'm on the Airport Advisory Committee as a Crook County representative for the Redmond Airport. So I've been on for a number of years. I really haven't brought back much information to the board over the past number of years. I just kind of show up and I listen to what they're doing, and most of it's just a listening operation. But this is kind of a big deal with that terminal expansion project. So I wanted to make sure that the Crook County and the city of Prineville know what's going on with that project and have, I guess, an opportunity to for some feedback. So actually, can you bring up that PowerPoint? So this is a PowerPoint that Zach Bass, which is the director for the Redmond Airport. It's just a short one. The only reason I brought this up is just for some pictures, and the reason why I think that both the county and the city through the budget fund EDCO, which also supports the Redmond Airport and some of their flights and things. So this terminal expansion is a big deal. Like say, I think they're estimating 200 million. They're hoping to get it down to 170 million. The point that I really want to talk about today with Redmond is, as they build this, there were some renderings that we were looking at the other night. They're trying to put some local features in that terminal. So if you get off the airplane, one of the things that is on the floor, they were actually, this is just a concept, is actually putting the Deschutes River in the tile on the floor. So as people walk in, they can see, oh, Deschutes River, and oh, here's, Sun River and Bend, and they can follow it along. So there's, they have posters of, Sun River, Smith Rocks, they have all these types of things. And so I guess the outreach is to the communities, what would you like to see in the terminal? And so I want to, I guess, communicate with the community here, and maybe the museum might be the best to discuss this. What do we want to see in the terminal from Crook County, from Prineville? Do we want to see maybe poster Scenes Pillar? Do we, the Prineville Railroad? All these different things that we can maybe put together and work with the architect and get our little piece into the airport terminal. So if you want to go through these pictures, you can go ahead to the next slide. Based on the next one. See, it's a pretty big deal, and this, with this whole expansion, there's also gonna be, the jet bridges, so in the future, you'll be walking out actually on a jet bridge rather than out in the snow and the rain. Go ahead, next one. And you'll be boarding the aircraft from the second level, in the future. Next slide. So this is the, exterior, one of the options. You can see the shaded area where it's cut out, so those are supposed to mimic the, Cascade Mountain Range. And next slide. So you can see the terminal as it is to the left there with the green roof, so you can see how, it's pretty good sized, terminal. Next.
You're gonna lose their parking lot that they just put in on that side.
Most of this is actually behind the fence.
Is it? So
Yeah.
it won't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next slide.
I was in shock when I can't remember what meeting I was at, and they said they were gonna expand, it was 170 million, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It had been a couple months ago, and it was, yeah.
So
Lot of
kind
money.
of, so kind of to Susie's point, are they also gonna expand the parking lot? Because it's already right now at peak times, it is slammed. And
Oh,
if
it's
you
bad,
add-
yeah.
You add all these way more gates, where are people gonna park?
Question. I can't answer that. And one of the things I was gonna talk about today was inviting Zach Bass to come over and do a presentation. If you guys would be interested in that, he can do a quick presentation on the terminal and answer some of those questions. There is a plan with the parking. I think they're behind the curve on that. But they're working on that.
You'll have to just go to like shuttles or something and go to that outside ground. I mean, that's or either that or a parking garage.
Right.
Which if it's 170 million for that, I can't even,
Right.
I don't even wanna know what the
Probably
price.
another 20 for
On
the
a
parking.
parking garage would be.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the parking is expensive in the airport.
I
Makes a
just-
lot of revenue.
I
from
just
parking.
went to the class reunion, left Friday afternoon, came back Sunday night, $72. It is.
Right, and the parking lot's packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, parking garage, that's been a point of discussion, some of the other areas and turning into parking. So that's,
Do they take that parking, like my $72, where does it go? Where, does it go into a fund to increase? I mean, how does that?
it goes to the
appropriate
airport, I
that?
can't tell you specifically, but it goes directly to the airport. It stays within the airport, it doesn't go to like a
But,
city general fund.
so
or
they
anything.
should be trying to funnel that off to do
Yeah,
improvements.
yes, and I think they are, and I think it's a difficult balance for them right now, because the terminal, I think they believe, they've expanded some of the parking, right? And then, so now they have the terminal, so they're, all their money and all their efforts are going into the terminal, and I think once the terminal's done, then they'll roll back to parking, and then it'll be decided, well, if we're gonna do a parking garage, or we're gonna expand, more parking on the ground, and I think I haven't been involved in all those, but they're discussing it. But like I say, with the amount of money for the terminal, I think that's their focus right now. So next slide. So that's somewhat of, the interior, quick, I think this is kind of a color picture, so next slide. On to the next one.
And all those people look happy, their flights must have been.
Next slide. So this is, you can see on the down the left there, I think, some ideas, on the tile on the floor, the carpet, this is on the top there with some, I guess, paintings or pictures, and they don't know exactly how big they're gonna be. But this is just kind of an idea. You can see actually the blue squiggly line on the gray section, that's the flooring, so that'd be the chute stripper. So I don't think, the next slide, I don't think there's much else. Oh, okay, this is kind of the timeline. So I think they're looking at, the next couple of years, you're gonna see the changes on that. So anyway, I guess if you're interested, I will talk with Zach and see if I can schedule a time for him to come over and do a short presentation if you're interested. And then two, my thought, is please feedback if there's any specific
Yeah, we
item.
go back one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you go back to the finance party? We gotta go through. There. There we go. No, yeah, right there, yeah. So there will be an airport bond. So on an airport bond, will that go to Deschutes or will it go, how does the bond there
I believe it
work?
would be City of Redmond.
Oh, it will be. Oh, okay. That's a big
We
one.
have so many big projects right now.
Yeah, well, but everything's so expensive. You can't, I mean, what you think it's gonna be, you have to multiply by 3.
Hey, Kelly?
Yeah.
Is there, they've always offered tours of the airport?
Mhm.
Can we go and do a tour of the airport
I'm sure,
as a group and hear about this stuff at the same time?
sure, yeah.
What do you
that-
guys
that
think
might
of
be-
that? I think I've always wanted to go in
I
there
feel
to
like
see,
I toured it on Friday, but
check it out and see the
that was one
guts
city.
of it. And
You know, most
kind
of
of
the,
see on the ground where the expansion's gonna be. What
yeah, and I can talk to Zach about that. I think,
do you think, Susie?
No, that's fine with me
I think it'd
too.
be a fun day.
Yeah.
one of the things that they really like to show off is their, SRE, snow removal equipment building. That was put in a couple years ago. I think Brian was over there a year or so ago. A beautiful building. And they got a lot of really cool equipment in there to look at.
Yeah, and like the river thing, I know in Montana, the airports, I think I've flown into 3 different ones there, they have rivers on the floor. And they're very nice.
Right, so something like that, but you know, my biggest point here is figuring out what
What
we
need to do.
want to put in there and provide it to them to fit in there somehow, rather than us just sitting back and let them figure that out.
And I prefer to.
Well, yeah, and I think the museum would be, we have some really excited and enthusiastic, I think that'd be a good place to go with.
Yeah, maybe I can just plug them into with the architect or the designer there and just have them start talking.
Now, when you get off, when you go through the revolving doors, there's a plastic surgeon, there's his ad, so I don't know if that's saying that we all the women need plastic surgery or what, but we need it, which when you walk down farther, that you get Warm Springs, Brasada, Sun River and all of that, yeah.
It's all about the art
It's all
advertising
money.
dollar.
Yeah, I get it, I totally get it, I'm just saying, that's the first thing you see, I've always thought that was funny.
Right.
They could also put the Crooked River in there,
Right,
just, highlight Smith Rock.
Yeah,
right.
like I say, the rivers are done, I know in Montana, very nice.
Mhm. Okay, I just want to involve us in that conversation or get somebody talking with them. So we're a part of that.
Okay, great. Really good presentation. So I see that we're talking about the runway in 3 items. Do we want to knock that out so you don't have to stick around?
Oh, I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, fleet management, Will.
So I'll help speed this along a little bit quick for Kelly. I was a little over optimistic with this agenda item request, so I apologize to Sarah for not catching it, but I still have a couple details I'd like to work out before we have this conversation. So if it's up to the board, I'd like to bring it back for a future work session.
Good. Well. Jackie and Courtney?
All you. Hello, my name is Courtney Boss. I'm the municipal manager for Public Services. I'm here with my general manager, Erica Lindberg. Hello. And Tim Long, our operations manager. And we are here to give you a quick update on operations and just generally check in. Make sure you feel like things are going in the right direction. We have a quick handout. I don't know if I'm gonna just take one of this down. Hopefully we got enough for everybody. There you go. So as you know, let's see, I think we met with Commissioner Crawford earlier this year. And he very clearly articulated on behalf of the board that we needed to really step it up and do a better job. And so we've been taking that very, very seriously and focusing on implementing a number of changes to demonstrate our commitment to the community. And I think that we've really moved things in the right direction. I'm really proud of the work that we've done and proud of the members that we've added to our team, including Tim. So first and foremost, for those of you that haven't met him, he is our new operations manager.
newish, I guess. He's been here 3 months. 4 months. Commissioner Crawford had the pleasure of spending a Saturday installing cans with him on the streets of Pineville. But for those of you that haven't met him, he is from Utah. He has a ton of industry experience, and he is really going to be focused on Pineville and Redmond. And that's important because we haven't had an operations manager that is going to be focused on such a small geographic area before. So since he's gotten here, we've seen dramatic improvement in the quality of service in Pineville and Crook County. So that's been really, you want to talk a little bit about yourself or how cool you are? You want me to do it? How you not gonna do it?
No, I mean, I just relocated here with my wife. We live out in Redmond. We don't know where we want to move yet, but we'll probably stay here maybe a year or two in Redmond. We're empty nesters, so we got 4 kids. I got about 20+ years with Republic. I was a driver for about 13 or 14 years, and then I became a supervisor, and then I applied for this role over here, and my wife and I relocated, and so, yeah, we're ready to get rocking and rolling, so. Southern St. George is where I was at for the past 23 years, so happy to be here.
Yeah, and the great thing I will say about Tim is that he is extremely accessible, more so than any other operations manager that I've encountered since I've been with Republic. So to the extent that there is ever anything that you need, day, night, Saturdays, and this guy is always available. Obviously don't use it like I do, but he is great. He's awesome to work with, and really committed to this community. He's been here a ton, and really focusing on it. So that's been really exciting. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going through these slides, unless there are specific questions, but it occurred to me that we had never talked about the members of our team who live here. And so we provided you a list of the actual team members who live in Pineville and Crook County. So all of our drivers listed on slide 2 are residents of Crook County, Pineville. And I thought that was really interesting. So they live here and work here, and are committed to doing a good job because they are also residents here. So that was really something that I thought was important to highlight. From a service perspective, I'll let Erica talk a little bit about that now.
So that's this slide here. So this is, we just wanted to show you and display our service data. And I think it tells a good story, especially when you compare prior year during the summer compared to this summer. We've definitely seen an improvement in our service statistics. We had actually a 6.8% reduction in the number of service misses that customers are calling in and reporting. And that's a testament to really the focus that Courtney was saying that Tim is doing with our team. We're really focused on our frontline employees, ensuring that we're appropriately staffed, which we are fully staffed, ensuring that we have engagement of our team. Proper communication with our team is really a core focus. Communication with our customer group. We know we're not perfect, so whenever we do have service delays, we're really improving the communication that goes out to our customers to ensure that they know when to expect us if there is a delay that's in place. So all the things that the team is focusing on, we are definitely seeing an improvement. And especially if you look at June and July of 2023 compared to June and July of 2024, you see almost a 50% reduction in the number of missed services that customers are calling in. So again, we are happy with the service improvement that we're seeing. Again, we know and recognize it's not perfect, but we're moving in the right direction.
And obviously, we'll be watching it really closely in August and September to see what happens, because if you look at last year, August and September were rough for us. And so, you know, I'll be in constant communication with Jackie over kind of how things develop over the course of the next really month, and report back to you guys on how things play themselves out. We've been hyper focused on eliminating the multi-miss customers. So customers that are experiencing a bad experience more than once with us have reduced. And that's been a priority focus for us, because it's bad enough if we have one bad experience, but if you have 2, then you have a really bad taste in your mouth. We don't like that. We implemented the what we've started calling the inconvenience credit program, and that's really a credit program that was born out of this body, out of the commissioners. So That is implemented and working, and we are actively issuing credits proactively for routes that are not completed. There have not been many, thankfully. And for customers that call in and report that they've had a bad experience or a missed service. So that is actively happening. And then in terms of engagement in the community, I have been out a lot in the community. Tim has been out quite a bit in the community, and we've spent and invested quite a bit of resources into the community. So I've listed out the things that we've done kind of year to date. With the exception of the Chamber of Crook, which is actually scheduled for September 6th. So we are doing a perk, we're listing that in our office. And if you're available to come to that, that'd be awesome to see you there. But all of those other things, we're actively participating in and engaged in, and we'll continue to do that over the course of the remainder of the year. So that has been a huge focus area for us. And we learned a lot of valuable things about our engagement in the community. And I think you all pointed this out in the past, that this community knows when we aren't present, and they know when we are. And they also know when we show up at the parade with not enough candy, so lesson learned there. So for next year, we'll buy more candy. I think those are the updates that I have. Generally, I do want to take a quick moment, and this guy right here, Colin Team, that little dot on the screen there, he is your new Department of Environmental Quality rep for this region. And I asked him to pop onto Zoom so that I could just quickly acknowledge him and give him a chance to say hello to all of you. He is going to be taking over for Lori Gordon, who you probably have not interacted with much before, but you will interact more with Colin because of the Recycling Modernization Act and some of the changes that are coming to the recycling system. So Colin, did you just want to quickly say hi?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Courtney, for the introduction. As Courtney stated, I joined the Materials Management Regional Specialist Team for Eastern Region to help Lori out. She was responsible for the 18 Eastern Oregon counties, which was quite a bit. So we've divided those up. Lori will retain 9 counties, and then I'll acquire 9 of the counties she's been working with, which Crook County is one of the counties that has been assigned to me. So just a little bit about me. Relocated over to Central Oregon May of last year, where I worked as for a service provider, private hauler over there. We actually did the community outreach opportunity to recycle report. So I think I offer a unique experience to bring to Crook County, Prineville, and the other counties that I'll be working with, because I've been on that side. So I'll be able to offer some good insight and help Courtney, the county and the city with their opportunity recycle report, and then really just be a partner to answer any kind of questions you have. RMA is coming through. There's a lot of questions with RMA. So yeah, I'm your partner here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me.
Any question? Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Courtney.
Any questions, comments, concerns, beef, anything that you want to say about Republic at all?
I've had a lot of concern about the Paulina transfer station only being open, not being open enough. I've explained to numerous people out there that we had a fire. It was an evacuation zone. You had contacted me. We have to follow the evacuation zone that's given to us by the sheriff's department. My only other comment is some of the people out there would like to see maybe a recycle, way that they could recycle. And so that's just an added benefit. And again, I understand totally, this has been unique. I've explained it. We'll go back to the twice a month.
Yeah.
So
we've added commingle carts to the service plan out there. I think, based on the limited conversations I've had with customers out there, and I'll be honest, I don't spend a ton of time out there because, they're not a direct customer relationship that I've got. it feels to me like there's a need to be open more than 2 hours a month. Because that is a very
And that is, yeah,
small window of opportunity, and then when something weird happens, like a fire, they're going without any option for 60 days, up to 60 days, right? So I think that's something we need to reevaluate. That agreement is challenging for us because there's, the way that it's structured, that was a legacy agreement that we inherited, and I think it's just something that we're gonna have to take a look at with the county. We have all of the maintenance responsibility for that station. We invested, I think, $8,000 in the scales. We have I think most of the liability there. It's not our assets. So there's just some things that I think we wanna talk through there. But to your point, I don't know that the population out there is being well served by us. So maybe that's a conversation we can set up and have with Jackie at some point, or the county.
Yeah.
Anyway, heard on that, and I've been a little bit concerned about them because they have no place to take their trash this month. Kind of a drag. Any other feedback, concerns, questions?
Appreciate the opening the office 5 days a week. That's something that we've been looking for quite a while. And I think that will really help. I know I hear that a lot from the public, that they want to be able to go talk to a person instead of calling somebody on the phone.
Diane is there, she's awesome. It's a dog friendly office. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but if you ever go in there, there's always a dog there, so that's fun. And she always has snacks, so I encourage you to stop by. Yeah, it's a really cool group of people that we've got there, so. That's been open, that's been great. Anything else that you can think of that we should be doing, we are happy to do, so, let me know, I'll continue to update you regularly. Concerns, questions, ride-alongs, things that you want us to take a look at, we'll do it.
Great.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Thank you.
well, thank you.
John, runway?
Commissioners, this is related to that FAA grant for $4 million that we've talked about, and the re-up of Precision Approach Engineering. We went out for bid in the spring, early spring on this. And we got the bids back, and we've just been on standby with this, in the time since, until we were pretty confident the money was gonna come through. We got 2 bids. They were both under the engineer's estimate. The lowest was Taylor Northwest. Precision Approach Engineering and the FAA, both reviewed the bid documents and both recommended, awarding, the contract to Taylor. Like I said, this happened in the spring. Taylor's agreed to be bound by their quote until September 30th. As a reminder, the grant funds are expected to come through September 10th. And so we need to make sure we get them under contract in that window, but we also need to make sure that we aren't obligated under contract before then, in case the money somehow doesn't come through. And so I brought this to you guys today. In my head, we can either make the motion for the intent to award today, so we can send out the letter and start the protest period for 7 days, or we can do it at the next meeting on the 3rd. The 4th. And then we'd be able to send out the notice of intent to award. The 7-day protest period would happen. We'd be able to get them under contract like the 13th or 14th or so, still within that window. And so it's up to you guys if you want to do it now or if you want to do it next week. But we need to do it either now or then.
I would prefer next week if we can. I don't know. I'm not dying. Brian, you want to get it done now?
I like to get it done now, just to ensure that.
That's
it is
fine.
done.
I kind of agree with Brian. I think that we want to be sure that we get it all, and if there just is a snag or anything,
Yeah.
the sooner done, the better. So that would be, if you would make a motion, I will so move it.
So I think it's probably a good idea. There's a risk that there is some issue with the bid protest, since there's been so much time. But yeah, I would recommend a motion to designate Taylor Northwest as the lowest responsible bidder on the airport runway 1533 project. And that's it.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Aye.
We'll get the notice of intent to award sent out and published, so we can start the protest period. And I'll come back to you for the contract later.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Will?
All right, I think we're doing our community development update, so I'll ask Randy and Katrina to join us.
So we have the community development update for July. You'll notice activity levels are pretty much the same as it has been. I'll let Randy can give you some updates on what he's seeing in the building world.
So building wise, you guys can see, I mean, we're actually above by a few permits from last year. We are still seeing, I mean, it does feel pretty slow there. The residential sides. And we got, like I said, a few of the production builders who polished. We got Lennar Homes and now doing some development up there. But, you know, not a ton of activity as far as the residential, but the commercial continues. Now, that's what, you know, that's what I keep saying, but to me, that's a good indicator of, you know, it's not just your Facebook, your Apple, that type of projects. I mean, we've got a lot of other ancillary type, you know, businesses, stuff like that coming in. We have been, you know, still averaging about 1,000 inspections a month. So 1,000 job sites the guys are going to performing daily on-site inspections. Recently, City of Redmond. So one of our KPIs is to have 2 A-level inspectors per each scope for commercial. So what happens is the City of Redmond does not have that. They've only got a single A-level inspector. So at times we support through IGAs, each jurisdiction for some needs, you know, if they're on vacation, whatnot, but Terry's been working with City of Redmond in our morning daily schedule they've had a need for electrical and plumbing. So the last couple of weeks, we've been helping Redmond out along with Deschutes County. They've got some other guys that have got some things going on that they're not able to be there. So trying to help them out as well. And while I talk about our 2 A levels, Rich Evans will be retiring next month. So he's our second A-level electrical inspector. He's gonna come on the state as an on-call inspector, which he'd like to work quite a bit more, is more like a part-time, but he's also wants to retire. So, you know, sometimes not having enough vacation to take all the, you know, vacations you want to take as you're more in retirement mode is not there. So he's gonna come back. So we'll still retain 2 A-level coverages. It's just Rich is gonna be on an on-call part-time basis. Working through, again, we still got 1,200 buildings or permits open active that we're currently working on, whether it's residential, commercial. So 1,200 projects that we're still actively overseeing. Some of our larger projects, you guys see for the commercial stuff, we went with Roger and Brian, and we did some walkthroughs, some preliminary walkthroughs to get the fire suppression, fire alarm, emergency egress lighting down at the Justice Center on Monday, which went well. Building looks great, phenomenal facility for courts and sheriff's department. So we'll be looking at closing that up here shortly. I think they're waiting on a couple door parts and, you know, wrapping up a few small items. And then that one should be, as far as our large projects, you know, we got the Justice Center, CCO 56 data center is still there. We're still waiting on the emergency responder radio coverage reports. Some lightning suppression within that building that's still outstanding. And then the other large one that we're working on is Central Oregon Processing. We're working on, so they've got their H occupancies, which are your high hazards. So the other one we did was where they take the hemp and they take ethanol and then they process that, which has an H because it's over the allowable quantities. It becomes a crude oil at that point. And so they've got another facility that they're taking a heptane and further refining it there, which is also an H occupancy. So a lot of things on board with that, with class 1, division 1 and division 2 electrical requirements for explosion. A lot of gen ties in and switch gear for the automatic controls for the sensing of any leakage. And then that also activates any other type of mechanical exhaust systems to get those combustible fumes out. And they're tied in that way. If they do have a loss of power in the event of an emergency or a leak, our systems are still robust enough to hopefully manage those projects. So working on those. We still haven't heard anything else back from the apartments out Madras Highway. The last comments we've had with them was, again, they're trying a new type of construction, which is a type 5A. You usually only see type A type constructions in large high-rise, big buildings. That's where your main structural frame has a layer of protection, 1, 2, 3 hours on it. That way, in the event there is a fire within the building, the main structural components are encased. That way, they've got another hour or two of protection to get occupants out. So we're having some code discussions in regards to how the methodology should be done for those buildings. We haven't heard back from them in probably like 3 months. So usually with the permits, it's 6 months. They apply for permits and plan review. It then expires after 6 months of no communication. But they got about another 3 months to see it. We haven't had any other conversations with them. The only other thing is up on the hill, we did issue the convenience store along with that Rooster Restaurant Bar, which is ended up there behind Proline. And we've done the main infrastructure for that entire campus, which we also encompassed the food court, the restaurant and convenience store. So we have not seen any activity as far as inspections or anything there. But I think other than that, Thoroughbred Car Wash is going out there. You guys can see that. Still haven't seen the Humane Society, the dog wing, as you guys seen. I think they've got some things. I think they're gonna come back and do a revision to change some of their plans to that facility. I think that's about it for the building, part of any type of substantial structures or activity.
Anything more on Bull Bag?
So we have not heard, so they're issued and their sheetrocker did reach out to us maybe a month ago. Because in that new firewall to separate the building out, to get rid of suppression, they've got some what's called pillow pads. A lot of times on that wall, if you've got architectural barriers or voids within that wall, a lot of times, I think we've got some at the Justice Center too, is in the event of the event, they expand and create that 4-hour barrier. They'd asked some few questions about that, but we have not had any inspection requests out there today.
Thank you.
All right, so then on to the planning world. Application wise, it's pretty similar again, like it has been. So they had 28 applications in July, 31 last year, so very similar. They're seeing a lot of applications that is having to go to planning commission. So the planning commission schedule, I think, is booked out through like October, I believe, or close to
I
it.
think closer to the end of the calendar year.
Okay, end of calendar year. So those are really taking up a lot of time. So even though there's not a ton of applications necessarily, they're a little more complex, and so they're having to take that extra time to go to commission. We have a handful of applications that are potentially coming in. So the first phase of Hidden Canyon, solar development project, 7-lot subdivision in the Juniper Canyon area. So again, those are all things that are gonna take a little more time as well. So planning is very busy. And on-site, applications again are about the same, and they are able to still turn around those inspections pretty much within a day. So we're able to get an inspector out there, get those systems inspected, so they can either get them covered or move on to the next step. So that has been going very well. And then code enforcement, only had 1 new complaint in July, so that's kind of nice. He was able to close 5 of the complaints. And on his KPI, they're at 77% of the cases are being closed within 90 days. So that's pretty exciting that he's getting good turnaround. So overall, that's what we got for community development. You guys have any questions?
I think it's very good that you're doing your inspections in a turnaround of 1 day. That's very commendable. I'm really glad we only had 1 code enforcement for the, right? That's really good. Let's hope we keep that up.
Yes, for sure.
Great, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, you got anything?
For the interim manager report, I'll let you speak to the meeting on Monday, Seth, but I did want to talk about, we put together a letter for Seth to take to the meeting, and I'd like to take that and add a few points that I heard made at the meeting on Monday and have the full board sign that letter. Commissioner Barney and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I think it'd be good to CC a number of legislators and make sure we're getting the word out to as many folks who can
Yeah, the
influence the
governor's
decision.
that list.
Yeah, so I'd like to just kind of put the finishing touches on that and have that on the agenda for next week for the commissioners to sign. We did get an email from AOC this morning, kind of outlining the timeline for decisions on the map. They didn't give us any sort of firm deadline in terms of submitting any sort of final comment, but they do hope to have finalize the map October 1st. So it's important that we get that letter out.
Is that something we could, I think we should do that today, if we can, and then get it out there. I mean, they were, saying how busy they were and they have all these things to do, and I mean, not to interrupt your, but I think if we can get that out sooner than later, if it's pretty much what we've done already, Eric, and we're just adding a couple of things from the meeting, is that?
I guess I'm afraid I'm not familiar enough with what's previously been discussed, so I think it would make a lot of sense to have the letter on the agenda for next week.
And I think you took the letter with you on Monday, so the bulk of the substance, the bulk of the substance is there. There's just a couple kind of points that I think we can expand on a little bit, based on some comments I heard on Monday, so I'd like to take that additional step on that, just to make sure we're getting everything out there and we're spreading the word as much as possible. I know there's a number of counties that feel similar to how we feel about the map, so anyways, just want to give you a quick update on that and make sure we're on the same page in terms of getting that letter out.
Yeah, I think it was a good meeting. I wish they would be more responsive. They didn't really seem to hear our concerns or understand that there's these different lots right next to each other. When they tried to explain it, it was just gobbledygook, and we never really said, well, this is why, this isn't why. They talked a lot about what would you call that? The direction of the fire, but if you're going through moderate into extreme, how would the fire even get there? Who knows? And so, I think the entire, except for Deschutes and some people from Deschutes and Columbia County, Clatsop County, they wanted higher ratings. But everybody else across the board thought that they needed to really look at what they were putting up and lowering the rates and having that conversation. So initially, when we wrapped up the meeting, I asked for a response time, and he was very kind of flippant with me. And then I had a conversation with him after, and I was able to negotiate. He's gonna come and talk with Will and I, so we can go through for about 2 hours, so we can go through each specific lot in the community, and he can give us an explanation of why or why not that should be in the high. So I thought that was a good outcome. The other thing I've got, I've been working with the senior center. I don't know if you all know this, but if it fails, then it becomes under county management. And so I think it's super important that we do everything we can to ensure that they're able to continue managing that. And they have some serious issues with the floors in the meet repeat building. And I was able to work with the school's new construction CTE program on Facebook, and they're gonna do about a $80,000 revamp on the floors in that building. And that's something they've been really concerned about, and it's been kind of looming over their head, and this would be at no cost to the senior center. But the Facebook will provide all of the supplies, and then the school program will supply all the labor. Great, good job. Thank you.
Seems a lot, 80,000 for floors.
I'm kind of bald.
I mean,
It's a 14,000 square foot building.
yeah, no, but it, like you say, it's astronomical, the prices of things these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Yes, I was asked by Crook County Foundation, they are applying for a grant to Central Oregon Health Council and what the grant would cover, as you know, how you have the green bag and you hang it on your doorknob with food in it. It would cover the holiday partnership. Of course, like a lot of things that go before us is, they need it by Friday. So I was hoping, I have a letter drafted, and I was hoping that we could sign it today because this is food for food insecurity in our county, which I find is very important.
Yeah, I read it. Great letter.
I know. I just can't believe how smart Sarah and I are.
Public Health is also working to support the project.
Perfect, thank you very much. So anyway, do we need a motion to sign this, Eric? Okay, I make a motion to sign the support letter for Crook County Foundation's grant application to Central Oregon Health Council.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, anything else before we move on to executive session? All right, the Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session under ORS 1926602D, conducting deliberations persons by the governing body and carry on labor negotiations. And ORS, hey folks, we gotta keep it down a little bit so they can. And ORS 1926602H, consulting with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of the public body with regard to current litigation and litigation that could be filed. Representatives of the news media designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session except for under labor negotiations under ORS 1926602H. All the members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session except the state and senator services previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we return to open session, welcome the audience back in. Okay, Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 1926602D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body, carry on labor negotiations, and ORS 1926602H consulting the council concerning the legal rights and duty of the public body with regard to current litigation likely to be filed. Representatives in news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session except under ORS 1926602D labor negotiations. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives in the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we return to open session. Welcome the audience back in the room.
Commissioners, regarding the matter on D, I don't think there's a motion. We'll gather more information and then schedule this discussion at a future meeting.
Okay.
For my 2H, I don't know if there's necessarily a motion needed, but I suppose we could do a motion to direct staff to proceed as directed. Anybody?
So moved.
Second. Oh, sorry, Brian. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn the meeting?
Okay.
Take your lead. Three of us get a hold of Christine.
He's out, she's waiting.